More people in South Africa are being forced to accept that load shedding may be the country's new normal, with many looking for daily hacks, if you like, to overcome the challenges that come with being in the dark. In the past week, the country has been saddled with stage 6 power cuts. So for practical tools on how to survive load shedding, let's bring in Senior Lecturer at Stellenbosch Business School, Dr. Jako Volschenk, who joins us via our video link this morning. Doc, it's great to see you. Thank you so much indeed for making time. And my goodness, where does one start? I mean, typically when you think about surviving load shedding, you try to consider how much you have in order to build alternative ways of keeping the lights on. But where should one start when it comes to, for instance, protecting your equipment against things like surges and actually investing in something like a UPS because you want to keep the lights on?
Morning, Ayanda. Thanks for having me. Absolutely. I think one of the things that you should do in your house at this point is actually having surge plugs. If you don't have surge plugs, there's another life hack that you can do. You can just, when the power goes down, just switch off your power at the main switch, and then you would wait for the power to come back on. So look out for the street lights to go back on, and then give it 5 or 10 minutes, and you switch back on, and that protects your appliances in the same way. Of course, the best way, of course, is to try and avoid going into the blackout in your household. So there are certain generation alternatives that one can look at.
Yeah, and we'll speak about those in just a moment. You know, that possible solution that you've just shared with us would work in a context where we know when our power goes out, right? And many will tell you who are watching that, yes, technically the schedule says, for instance, at 4 o'clock the lights go out, but sometimes it's a few minutes earlier.
That's absolutely true, and I think, you know, we will get that right. It should be said that, you know, there are very few countries in the world that have South Africa's record of a grid that remains stable. And yes, we have load shedding, but we should also be very thankful for the fact that we don't actually have a grid that is collapsing. So give Eskom his dues. There are many things that we get angry about, but the fact that we have a schedule is way advanced to what many African countries have. And in fact, there's countries like Canada, India, the USA that have much worse have had much worse collapses in their grids than we have had in any time.
What do you mean by that, by the way? When you talk about a grid collapsing, is that different to having a blackout?
Absolutely. The grid collapsing means that basically the demand for electricity in your country is higher than what the supply is. And the easy way of thinking about it is that you're trying to suck on a water pipe and you suck a vacuum and you lose the water that's in that pipe. So what needs to happen then is you have to actually restart your generators one by one. So your plants, our electricity runs at 50 hertz. So you have to bring back each of the plants back onto that 50 hertz. And it takes a few days to do. So we can be very thankful that we actually have these rolling blackouts instead of having a grid collapse.
Yeah, okay. If there's any silver lining against, that's what it is. Yes. Because I don't think anybody would be feeling grateful about load shedding. Anyway, let's speak about, you know, those alternative ways of keeping the lights on. I've already mentioned the UPS. I imagine there's also a generator. Yes. But let's be frank, these things aren't cheap, are they?
No, for sure. And you know, I think that one of the easy ways that one can go about is to think about the things that you want to do at home. So one of the things we want to do, we want to prepare food. Switching to gas is not only an easy and convenient way of preparing your food, but it also works out a lot cheaper as well. In fact, which is one of the reasons why even Eskom distributed free stoves a number of years back. I think if you remember when load shedding used to start. But also, I mean, apart from UPS, you could also just have a battery with an inverter, which is also a very efficient way of doing it, which is not quite as expensive. As well, maybe as a UPS. Something that you definitely should try to do during load shedding is, if you have a generator or something like that, is to try to run your house at the minimum demand that you need to do. Something that I do want to mention, Ayanda, is that, you know, we all talk about solar energy and solar energy being very expensive. And it generally is to buy a solar panel and put that on your roof can be very expensive. But there is also something called solar as a service that's coming into South Africa right now, where you don't actually pay for the panel, but you only pay for the electricity that you use. So that can actually be an option for households that qualify for this. And I think most middle-income households, for instance, would qualify for that. I think the challenge right now is actually finding enough panels, as everyone is rushing to have these. And then, of course, you know, the trusted bride dry and the open fire, many households, middle-income households, actually do have dry areas. When I was young, we used to prepare food on pots on fire, but that was more kind of on weekends when you wanted to entertain. But this is a great time to do that, to just put a pot on the fire, make a potjiekos or something, and spend time with the family playing cards.
Sure, that's all very interesting. Dr. Volschenk, thanks very much indeed for speaking to us. Really do appreciate your insights and your inputs this morning. Dr. Jako Volschenk is the senior lecturer at Stellenbosch's Business School. Once again, appreciate your time.